and welcome to Get Curious with Kirsten, where we talk about the intersection of curiosity and leadership. Thanks to your suggestions on LinkedIn, this week we're going to get curious about best practices for running one-on-one meetings with your direct reports. And if you yourself don't have direct reports, but you meet regularly with your manager, you can suggest some of these best practices to them as well. How are most one-on-ones structured? What I hear from many clients is that their one-on-ones often don't have any intentional structure to them. They just flow based on maybe the experience that their manager had when they themselves were an individual contributor. So if that person wasn't taught how to have them effectively, what happens? Often these one-on-ones just evolve into status updates. What's going on with this task or this project, and you're just ticking items off a checklist. But it's so boring. These one-on-ones have the potential to be so much more powerful than this. So what should the purpose of a one-on-one be? To make sure that your team members are motivated, that they have resources that they need, and to empower them to solve problems. So let's talk about how we can make them more meaningful. First, it's important to prepare for them. We need to be intentional about what we want to accomplish during these meetings and not just run into this meeting from another meeting. I find it's helpful to have a file or document where I can set aside ideas and agenda items that pop in my head during the week, keep them in one place so that as I prepare for the meeting, I kind of have all my thoughts in one place. Then keep a regular cadence for your meetings, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly. This is really important. Your direct reports need to know that they can rely on having this time with you. I've heard from many leaders that when their manager keeps rescheduling and pushing off their one-on-ones, they get really annoyed. And the message that they hear through this is, "You're not very important to me." I think that's the last thing we want our team members to think, that you're not important to me. These meetings, I implore you, if you're a leader, please prioritize these meetings and keep them on your calendar. They are so important to the well-being and feeling their employees have that they are valued as part of the team. So how should we begin the meeting? With a personal check-in. How are you? No, how are you really? Let's spend 10-15 minutes at the beginning just touching base as humans. As you know, some employees are really struggling right now, so we want to create space for them to share what's going on for them. After the personal check-in, there are several items that we can touch base on. So what's going well? Allow space for them to share a win or recent success. Acknowledge what they've accomplished and congratulate them. Even if your employee is feeling really overwhelmed and they don't think there's anything worth celebrating, challenge them to find one thing that they feel proud about. Then, what are some of the challenges or roadblocks that you're facing right now? This helps them to reflect on challenges they have currently going on or things that they might be anticipating. Then when they share with their challenges, you'll have to decide, do you want to go ahead and give them the answer, or do you want to coach them through it? If they're pretty new in their role, it may be more appropriate to direct them and tell them what to do. But if they're more experienced, it may be more helpful to ask open-ended questions and coach them through it so that they arrive at the answer on their own. Because the more that you can do this, the more independent and empowered you make that person, which should be part of our goal as a manager, right? Then we can shift to, what decisions do you need me to make? Inevitably, your direct report will need you to make key decisions in order to help them move forward on a project. Although sometimes we don't know that we're the ones that are holding up the progress there. So asking this directly gives them a place to ask these questions. Then we can shift to, what progress have you made on your quarterly milestones? Each employee should have annual goals in place that they're working towards, and hopefully those are broken down into quarterly or monthly milestones. So checking in on these goals communicates that you haven't forgotten and you're holding them accountable toward reaching them. It also helps keep their head up at the 30,000-foot level and look at these big goals and see the big picture rather than in the weeds with the day-to-day challenges. There are two other important topics you want to touch base on, but these are better on a semi-annual or quarterly basis rather than weekly, and they are developmental conversations where you talk about their career goals, professional growth and development, and skill building, and feedback for you as a manager. What am I doing well as a manager? And what could I change or do differently that would help you? So in closing, keep in mind that there's no magical list of questions that you should use at every one-on-one. But if you touch base on these main topics, this personal touch base time, what's going well, challenges you're facing, decisions to be made, and progress towards long-term goals, you'll be covering some solid ground and your employees will really appreciate it. Until next time, stay curious.